Yo, what is up, everybody? We are back with another podcast episode. I'm here with my boy, Big J, James Anderson. He owns Big Body Coaching. He's been coaching for a little while now. He was actually my very first ever athlete for Yo Club Fitness, my apparel brand. I started back in 2020. So we go back a while. He lives up here in Dallas now. Moved up here from Corpus Christi after college and really getting into coaching. And he's been crushing it over like the past year now. Honestly, you've
Yeah.
really dialed it in because I know you're doing it like sort of a little bit, but
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about big body coaching and what you actually do and your offer and stuff like what you're actually selling, whether it's just training
Sure.
programs, nutrition, and like what your type of client and niche is. Sort of go deeper into your coaching business.
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said, I own a coaching company, Big Body Coaching. Actually, it was last month we hit 1 year. So the birthday is on January 21st. Since I really made the business and actually like solidified myself as a coach, I would say what I do is a very in-depth coaching process that I collaborate with a client with, right? So it's not really just a training program, it's a little bit of everything, right? Um, so everything is going to be custom when it comes to training, right? Exactly what the avatar or the client wants, right? With their physique. Some people don't want to be a bodybuilder, right? So you got to kind of compensate with that. Everyone has a different schedule. People have different injuries. So that's why I kind of like the aspect of being able to um, be diverse and accommodate to people's needs in that sense. Nutrition, everyone knows nutrition is a big game. So I offer a couple things with nutrition. I could do custom meal plans. I like to do a more lifestyle approach, especially if clients are not going to compete, where I kind of teach them how to have fun with foods, obviously eat out with friends, socialize, but still kind of keep them on their game. Um, and that's basically, and there's some more in-depth processes that goes on as I collaborate with the client as well that we could get into. But to make things short, it's a very extensive process throughout a certain duration that I take the client with to essentially get them where they want to be. And I would say my niche right now um, is honestly big weight loss clients. That's been really what has been hitting for me. So that's why these journeys take a little bit longer. But extreme transformations and weight losses that essentially make the client obviously happier, more confident, mentally stronger. So I mean, that's my love. That's what I
Yeah,
get the fulfillment out of. That's what I get the satisfaction is big transformations that are like life changing, you know?
that's sick. Yeah. How many clients do you have right now? Like how many active clients do you think you have right now?
Yeah, so it varies a lot in the summer when I had a bigger team, which again we could get into because we will talk details. I had almost around 50, right? That's with these coaches working under me as well as the clientele I've had. Since then, some things have changed. My offer has changed. I realized my value, and I've also increased prices many times throughout this journey. So right now, I'm sitting probably around 25 to 30 clients. And yeah, they vary, right?
Yeah. Talk about your
With
offer because I know we talk
contracts.
about this a lot. Because I know you were charging, how much were you charging before? Like what was your first initial offer? I know we won't talk about the current
Oh
prices
my
or
gosh.
anything, but like what were you charging like when you
You
had
want
50?
you want me to talk about prices? I don't mind.
Yeah, like the
Because
what was your OG price? Like
yeah,
what?
this is
Because I know we talk about this a lot. Like I tell clients this and we're telling prospects this is like changing your prices. Like there's some people that are charging like $100 or 200 to $300 a month, and they can easily increase clients. So they're going to be making more money. They could double their business. They're going to be working with more ideal clients. I'm not going to say it all, but like what what were you charging before, and then what are you charging now, and like what's sort of the difference of
yeah.
what you've seen? Like how has your business changed
That's
because of that?
actually that's actually a great question. And it's bigger than people think, right? It's a lot of psychological stuff. But man, my offer was so bad when I barely started. I think it was around 250 for 2 months, and then the third month you get it was 100. So that was my prices. I ran with that for
So
until
your
I
main ticket
started
was $600, like $600
$600 for
offer.
3 months. That was my lowest price right there. So that was before I actually initiated big body coaching. Then I went to 350, which is pretty popular. I bet you a lot of people who listen, who maybe are in the business or are on the client side, kind of hear that number a lot. Then I increased to 500, and now some of my offers are up to seven, right? And what I noticed, right? Obviously, I love to help people, right? I want to pour into these people's lives. I want to connect with as many people as I can. But what I notice is when I sell a client at a higher ticket price, number one, I'm going to get a higher quality client. So if this client is willing to invest, which if you could get somebody on a call, they're at least interested. So if you could get this client to invest and they're paying a good amount of money, they're going to be more likely to follow this plan, right? And
And
that
get
helps
better results.
get better results, which again helps me, right? Because if I get these social proofs, these transformations, people eat that up, right? So charging a higher price, would I did take a hit at first in terms of the amount of clients I had. I believe one time I talked to you, I had 30 plus initially, but those are at a lower price. So now I'm working way less, but I'm making a little bit more, if that makes sense. And again, the quality of client is way better, and then the results are way better because if they invest into this, they're going to take it much farther. They're going to do check-ins. They're going to do little things. They're going to use me as much as they can because they're spending a pretty penny with it, right? So yes, I do love helping people, right? If I could help 1,000 people, I would. But it's also like a business, right? So that's where I realized there's like a give and take in terms of your pricing. Um, so that's a huge thing. That was a huge turning point um, in my business was just charging more. And like I said, people get scared to charge more, but if you really think about it, like the differences isn't that much. It's still an investment. It's still gonna hurt a little bit, right? So if you're gonna like make that investment, upcharging and charging your worth really isn't, you're not taking too much of a hit because these clients like they're gonna invest if they really want to do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you make sure how are you able to sell these clients? Like I know, so is it harder now to actually sell the client or do you feel a lot more comfortable? Like do you have to vet a lot more of like now you're just getting all these people on calls and then like what percentage of them are actually qualified and how does that sort of change your sales process of actually like closing them?
That's a great question. So before I hop on a client, there is a qualification process that I go through. For example, this guy, this is just an example, right? But this guy had nurse in his bio, right? But he filled out the application I had, and he didn't really qualify, right? He kind of seemed on the fence. There is a question I have in my type form, I'll be straight up, that says, are you willing to invest in this to truly change your health and change your physique? And he put no. So I'm like, okay. He kind of short answered all the questions too. So there is a qualification process that has to go through before I hop on a call with somebody. And again, that just goes into having a better closing rate. So whenever I hop on these calls with my clients, they're already super interested and they already kind of know what I do, right? And then that makes the um, selling them, I guess you could say, a little bit easier. And to answer your question, hiring my prices, like it really didn't, I didn't take any of a hit. What I've noticed, again, like I said this a lot of times, if a client's willing to invest, the difference between 250 and 5 to 7, it's like it's not that much, right? It's gonna hurt, but they're gonna get the results if they're willing to invest. So um yeah, that's kind of like what I noticed on these calls. And obviously you want to have a high closing rate. There is some um people who try to like not sign because of pricing and stuff. But that's where you kind of just work things, and again, it's psychological. If they're willing to hop on a call, they're at least interested. So you got a chance right there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know we were talking a lot about this like last week, and this can be, open discussion and conversation, but What do you think about like the strategy? Because I know we are talking about you right now don't have a low ticket offer or community, which you were like kind of like, oh, that's kind of, a smart thing. But, with some of our clients, what we're doing is like, okay, now you're getting all these sales calls and you're getting these people that may not be qualified or don't want to invest that much into it. But building your customer journey to having a low ticket offer, like a community, whether it's like, a school community or a Discord or even just like PDF programs to like get people in the door, that's like 100% margin. You don't have to spend time into, you get them in your journey. And then maybe they're in it for 6 months, a year, over a year, and then they're actually qualified and they're coming to you. They already know your prices since they've been with you. They've already had that connection with you to where you're just getting warm, warm
Exactly.
people on your sales calls and they're selling themselves. So like, what have you been thinking about that? And have you made any progress of like actually, rolling that out? I know you made like that Instagram sort of community thing, but what sort of like your ideas or thoughts behind that? And like, are you moving towards doing something like that?
Yes. I mean, I want to be honest and I'll be straight up, right? I always heard of these communities, but like I didn't really know anything about them, right? I get a lot of pitches in my DMs like, hey, these ecom people like, hey, I can build a paid community for you, but I'm like, why would people want to pay to be in a community? I didn't really see, why people would pay. But then when I talked to you the other day, this app called School, you talked about it, has so much value, right? So these people are paying for so much to be a part of this community. And like you said, before I had this mindset, right, that if I sell programs, that might take away from me hiring a client, right? Because if they pay for a program, that's a potential client that you could have had at the higher ticket offer, right? So you lose a lot there. But then when we kind of talked about it the other day, um, it made sense that it will only like benefit you, right? So throughout the entire like community process, you're basically nurturing these clients, or
Exactly.
at the
Yeah.
very least, getting rid of people who aren't qualified or aren't that interested, right?
Yeah.
So it's really increasing and like nailing down like harder, warmer leads.
Cause that's
Which
what I was thinking too, is like, okay, like what we do for some of our clients is like, okay, you get them in this community. And then if your community is good enough or your product is good enough of like a training program or whatever it is, and you're able to exceed expectations of a customer, then like if it's like so good that they're getting results off of it and they're like, holy crap, like this product's amazing. I can't imagine what their high
that's what
ticket's
I'm
like,
saying.
So then you're not even like taking sales calls for your high ticket and you're just like
Mhm.
pushing, like once you have your high ticket dialed, your revenue is good, then you're just like pushing your low ticket. Hey, join the community, join the community. You're making all your content, join the community, buy these. And then you're just nurturing people. You're hopping on calls with them weekly. And it's like, then you always have call to actions to the high ticket. And then you're not even selling people. It's just like sitting back and like,
For
boom, you're just getting
sure.
all these clients. Cause I know you have like a strong organic presence too. Um, like you're just getting a bunch of like warm leads in your
For
DMs and
sure.
stuff, right? Just because of
100%.
that.
Yeah.
So walk through your organic presence a little bit too, because like of how you're acquiring these customers and like just closing them on high ticket because you just go straight into the high ticket, which is pretty like, you know, crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's something that I recently implemented, right? I bet you can see because we've known each other for, like you said, 4 years almost. So it's just something I recently changed in my social media presence. And that's just being more human, right? If you could be more human, people are more likely to relate to you. So before I was all about like algo, like, oh my gosh, I want to get this many impressions, I want to get this many likes. But in reality, it's like, okay, I'm getting thousands of likes and impressions, but am I monetizing myself? Am I making money off of my following? No, I wasn't. I wasn't making that much money, right? Even though my engagement was a lot better back then, it's like, okay, what's the purpose of this? So now I'm trying to like show a little bit more me, talk on my story, gain people's trust. Like when I talk about client journeys, I do that strictly to, of course, show what I do works, but essentially gain trust with the person on the other screen. You want to gain trust. Um, so just showing up on my stories, talking a lot. Um, that is kind of how I organically grew. And like it all comes down to trust, man. These people can see right through you if you're not about it and you don't know what you're doing. People can see right through you, right? So if you
Yeah.
can gain people's trust, that makes them more interested. That makes your cause a lot easier. Like, I mean, we've talked about it, so I'm just going to be straight up. Like some of these influencers trying to sell coaching, trying to sell programs, they're just trying to make money. And people can see right through that, like you can't gain somebody's trust like that. Somebody doesn't want to be coached with somebody like that. If I'm looking for a coach, I want to look for a good coach, not a good social media guy, you know?
Yeah.
So to really solidify myself as a coach, not an influencer, and then growing a following based on that has been like game changing. I'm talking like crazy, crazy difference is what I've
Yeah,
noticed.
I think that's pretty interesting too, and that's a good transition of like what you're seeing in the industry because I know we have a lot of buddies and stuff, and especially back in the day, like we're
Mm.
connected with all these like big influencers that had like hundreds of thousands and millions of followers, but then they weren't making a penny, and they were looking at you, and they didn't even understand you were making, this much, and they don't even know how to do it. So like why do you think that is? Like, I know you just brought up that people can see right through you and stuff, but like someone that's coaching right now and watching this that's like our age and they're like, yo, how is Big J making this money? Like, what are some issues that you're seeing with like the wide audience of these like online coaches outside of what you just, talked about?
Yeah, number one, I mean, it's simple, but it's going to be laziness. Like these people, I mean, we've talked about it, me and you kind of like have a big heart, right? So like we see our boys like trying to coach or trying to make money and they're not doing it right. And it's like, you could be doing so good if you did this, this, and this. And I think the answer to that, again, going back to what I said, is solidifying yourself as a coach and somebody that people could trust. Not an influencer that just posts their physique, right? Talk to me. Show me that you know what you're doing. Show me some social proof of your clients. Walk me through a journey, right? Those little things people love, because people get the influencing stuff a lot. So you got to be a little bit different, especially if you want to make money on coaching and not just influencing. That's where you kind of got to like separate yourself. Somebody that I think does really well um, is Georgia Daniels. Like she has a very good presence on social media, but she solidifies herself as a coach as well. Half the
Yeah.
stories on her daily posts are going to be about her clients, are going to be about her coaching, are going to be about doing this, this, and this. I think that's the difference maker, right? Instead of just posting like, hey, go buy this, or hey, this supplement company, whatever, whatever. I think having a healthy balance where you're actually telling people like, hey, I'm a coach, I do this is huge. And I mean, obviously systems and stuff go into play, um, how to get clients on calls, but really, really these big influencers, if they wanted to do it, they could, right? They could put in a little bit of effort, right? And they I mean they could sell because me and you both know high ticket clients is game changing because you don't need that many, right? So that's kind of that.
Yeah. What do you think it is too with like online coaching that like outside of the influencing side and like being an online coach versus being an influencer, like what key attributes do you need or like characteristics to be a good online coach? I know you said like caring and being able to sell and stuff like that, but like what do you think separates you from like all the rest of these online coaches or like influencers that are trying to like get to that point and break
For sure.
5, 10K? Like
For
what are
sure.
those like characteristics that you have that
Sure.
you see in other online coaches?
100%. First of all, I bet you could attest to this, but I've always loved working out, man. It's as simple as that. I've always loved working out, even when we're, doing all these influencing things, I would always take my workout serious because I genuinely like to work out, right? And I've always had a heart to help people. Like I'm very serious when I say I love to help people. If I could do that for free and like be okay financially, I would do that, right? So I have the heart to help people. Um, and also, I think for me, something that woke me up was seeing kind of a big flaw in like the influencing space, right? What do I mean by that? So you work for these companies, and there's nothing wrong with this. Some people could get away with this if they're like mega, right? And they're selling to a lot of people. But I saw a flaw in like the influencing space where you're selling a product but you're only getting 10% of that income, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you could mega sell, then you're good. But you're selling a product and you're only getting 10%. It's like I sell $100 product to you, but I'm only getting $10. So someone like me who isn't the best influencer, right? Doesn't have the flashiest personality, I couldn't make it in that industry. I know my role. I know where I stand in this world. I couldn't do that. I couldn't maintain that for a lifetime, right? So that's where I was like, okay, something needs to change. And again, I've always had that heart for coaching, helping people. And I think online coaching was a perfect thing for me to where I transitioned. Um, and I showed up, right? I showed these people that I care. And I kind of made that my only thing, which kind of helped me instead of trying to balance like this, that, I kind of made that my only thing, which, some people could balance, but if you really want to transition and start making some bread, some people gotta like drop a lot and then put some time into this. And I think that's kind of the answer to that question is just put in some time to this because you have it in your bio, but you're not getting any clients, but you have a following. So something's not working out. You need to put more time into this um, to show people that you're serious about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like that because yeah, that's what I see time and time again is like these large creators have so much opportunity that they don't see that you don't need the followers. And a lot of
That's
these we work with like some celebrity coaches and stuff, and yeah, they do awesome because they have a strong following, but you can get the following after you build your business too. You could literally like one of our clients has 2,000 followers and they're absolutely crushing, doing have over 250 clients. Like that's crazy. So you don't need to have the following to do it. And you don't don't be scared if you have that or like taking the
sure.
next step because you don't have that following. But talking to like sort of the maybe online coaches that are watching this now that have their stuff dialed in, you being a younger online coach, because we work with some older clientele. We're like sort of we work with younger people and some older clientele that have been in the game for 5, 10, 15 plus years. Sort of like what do you see changing in the online coaching space, and like what's sort of like the new stuff that's happening, like trendy things that you may be seeing, and like where do you see the online coaching space and industry sort of like moving to?
Yeah, I mean, you've noticed this, but like literally a little bit after I feel like I started doing it, I'm not saying people did it because me, right? It just obviously became a trend, is what I'm trying to say, where online coaching like became super popular. And
Yeah.
all these coaches, all these influencers are like seeing these people doing well off coaching. They try to, get into the space as well. Um, but kind of what I'm seeing, and I mean, you opened up my eyes with this the other day when we talked about it, is that, I mean, I think the paid community is really big, right? Providing as much value into that paid community and then charging a little bit for it. And then, of course, on the back end, you're trying to resell these hotter leads. I think that's the trend that online coaching is going to specifically scale you, right? Because right now I've been dealing with like, how am I going to get to 100K? I want to make 100K a month, but I need this. I need that many clients, and like that's pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie. So how could I provide another source of income to my online coaching to essentially plummet me to my 100K that I'm striving for? And when you mentioned the paid community, again, I've heard about this paid community, but I didn't really know anything about it. And then once you start showing me the school app, like there's different things, like there's a classroom where you could like do videos, teach people um, different things, different aspects of this paid community rather than just, hey, what's up? What are y'all doing today? I didn't really see that. I didn't really like
Yeah,
why would people pay $50 a month just to like talk to people, you know? But now I
exactly.
see like really what it is um, in the school app. And I think that's going to be a difference maker. Like
Yeah.
it could only help you. So I think any online coaching that's listening, it could literally only help you. There's no downfall to that paid community. Because what I thought, like I said in the beginning, if I have a low offer, that's going to take away from my potential high offers. But no, this is where you could literally pitch them at a low offer. They get into you, they see what you're about. And you said it best earlier. If you're if you're going to give something for free and people see that, they're going to think, okay, if I get this for free, what on earth am I going to get if I pay this amount of money, X amount? It's like, whoa, you provide them a little bit, you show them a little bit. They're like, okay, I need to invest in this because if I'm getting this for free, imagine what I'm going to get for X amount.
Yeah. I
I
also
think,
like the ability. Yeah, I like the ability too, like in a sales call is like, okay, you have this person coming in and they're thinking, oh, this guy's just trying to sell me and stuff. And then
mm,
you're actually having a general conversation with them. And they're like, oh, I can't afford it. And then like you're obviously still having to work objections, but you're like, okay, if this isn't a good fit for you, you could do this. And they're like,
yeah,
wait, what? This dude's not trying to
bro.
like actually sell me. And it's like putting them because that's what sucks is like that's how you get, you know, terrible results and like bad word of mouth is like if you're not putting them in the right place. So if they don't fit in the high
Mm,
ticket coaching, but you're like forcing them to like person or you can just like pull the rug and like get them versus being like, "Oh, dude, this is not a good fit for you at all.
yeah,
Like, I promise you, like, you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to do this. You can just like, learn and then maybe you will be ready for this one-on-one coaching in 6 months." Like that's like building, like you said, building trust.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's sick.
That's good. Yeah, like one time I had this call and like this guy was on the fence, right? I probably shouldn't have hopped on this call, but I did anyway.
Yeah.
And I literally just talked to him and I told him everything about like fitness and I was just like kind of picking his brain a little bit, telling him some information. He's like, dude, you know what? I wasn't thinking about coaching, but now that I see like how much you give and how much you're willing to give, I'm kind of interested now. So I ended up, gaining his trust in the beginning of the conversation, just talking to him. And at the end, I was able to sell him because he came in not wanting to do like pay a dime. He saw what I was about, saw how serious I was, ended up wanting to team up and join the team.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I think psychologically, of course, let me know what you think about this, but this is what I do. In the beginning of a sales call, I'm like, okay, we're not going to even really try to sell you right now. I really just want to see if this is a great fit. And if this is not a great fit for you, I want to help you find that great fit. Now, obviously, being an adaptive coach, more than likely, if you could adapt to a certain avatar, you could, be a good fit for them. But that kind of eases their mind, like, okay, this guy's really trying to help me, right? He's not just trying to sell me. So that's kind of like what really helps my sales call smooth, go a little smoother, flow a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a conversation. It's not just like, oh, I gotta
Exactly.
sell this guy. It's like actually helping their problem. Like that's what it is at the end of the
That's what it
day.
is.
And
For
if
sure.
you're especially if you're like niche down and you just have a specific problem, like I help individuals lose 20 pounds in 90 days, then that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I like that's just already going to capture their attention. So
Mhm.
then they know before they hop on the sales call exactly what you're going to, help achieve for them and like, build out a plan. And then if you give them so much value that it's like, I don't care if purchase the high ticket coaching, like I'm going to give you the tools to like succeed on your own. And then you could be, ready if you're,
Perfect.
dialing it in and you're like, ready to go. I also think another good strategy for having the low ticket offer too is like, okay, for me, for example, like you were my coach during the bodybuilding prep. So say if I'm someone that wants a bodybuilding prep, I've been following Big J, Big Body Coaching, and I'm ready to get into bodybuilding and I do a prep with you and I love the prep. And then after it's like, okay, well, I already know how to eat. I know how to like do all this stuff. I know how to build muscle. Rather than if you don't have a low ticket offer, then it's like, okay, like peace out, bro. Thanks for, being around. Like
Mhm.
then it's like, oh, we have this, community, this low ticket offer and stuff. Even if they're like, if it's like a $30 a month, $50 a month, and they're like, oh, sweet, like I'll hang around there. I'll still get to ask you questions, communicate with you, meet like-minded individuals. And then come their next bodybuilding prep or when they actually really need it, you're the first person they're going to
I
come
love
to versus like just being gone and not having a single touch point with you. Like, what do you think about that as well?
That's I think that's brilliant, but that's good because you have options, right? Obviously, if you're a coach, you want to have a back end offer, right? So what I do is I sell these like durations or like plans, solidify them, right, for a certain amount. Don't do the 1 month, kind of
Yeah.
freelance, right? Solidify them in a contract. That's going to help you get better results. And obviously, that's going to put more money in your pocket, which you want that security. So if they don't sell on a back end offer, I think that's a beautiful idea to just keep them with you, if that makes sense. Obviously, you're going to try to still help them, but if they don't sell on that back end offer where you try to resell them, I think that is a perfect option for them just to stick around. And then, of course, like you said, if you do one show, you're probably going to do another if you're hooked. So after they're done with their off season, they're still in your community. I think that's perfect to just, hey, let's come back, let's do this again.
Yeah. So what do you do whenever someone's like done too? So say if they like went through a transformation, like what does it look like end of contract? Like, okay, you're selling for the extension or like what does that sort of look like?
For me, this is what I do, right? This is what where like you could really 2x, 3x your business is if you resell. So I have I'll just be straight up. I'll tell you all the info that I do. I have like if they sign for like let's say a 3 month, right, which is my lowest duration offer. You can't work with me if you're not going to commit to 3 months, right? If I sign them for the 3 month, right, they go throughout this certain transformation. Let's say they do a cut and they have a successful cut. Well, now I want to, first of all, they don't have to, but I really recommend hopping on calls at the end, right? Just talk about the journey, talk about how they did, and then kind of open up about the idea of, potentially working with them. If they cut, you obviously want to show them how to maintain those shreds, so that's where you pitch another offer. So what I do is I don't tell them this in the beginning, but if I sell them for 3 months, instead of selling them for another 3 months, I basically sell them for my 6 months. So in the entire 3 and 3, it's basically my 6 month offer, which is a little bit less than the 3 month, month to month. So that's what kind of works for me because chances are they don't want to re-sign for another 3 months. If you could obviously talk them into that, kind of test the waters, that's a good option. But if they're already like kind of ready to go, then that's when I would pitch, an offer, right? An incentive to actually have them interested and keep on going. Like, okay, it's going to be this much, it's going to be a little bit less on me, but I'm still going to get everything, you know, sell them. That's how I do my back end offers, basically.
Sweet. That's dope.
I mean, that's if any coach is listening, that's such an important tool is being able to retain clients because I've had clients since the jump still with me. And that's month to month, payment, payment, payment. So like keep these clients as long as you can and pour into them as much as you can.
Yeah, because if you never lose a client, like then
You're
you're
good for life.
you're golden.
You don't
Yeah,
even need
exactly.
to sell anymore.
Yeah, like you're only going up. Because that's our whole thing, especially like when you go to scale, it's
Mhm.
like the only two metrics you really need is customer acquisition cost, CAC, and then lifetime value. So if you're like, you know, putting money into ads and stuff, it's how cheap can you acquire this customer? If you're just going straight for the high ticket, it's probably gonna, cost you a lot more to acquire this customer versus having like sick lead magnets and freebies and stuff like that, getting a customer in for $3, $4. And then eventually your product's so good and your customer journey is so good that the LTV of your customer is four or $5,000, which is
Yeah.
insane. Like in that middle is where all the money's made. And so that's how, these people are making all the money. But getting out of sort of like the nitty-gritty stuff of like talking about just the business back end,
Mm.
what what are your goals sort of like looking forward, wrapping this up, of where are you trying to take big body coaching within the next, 5, 10 years? Like what's the ultimate goal with
Of
what you're
course.
doing right now?
I mean, things have definitely changed recently, right? I don't want to lock in anything, but obviously, I love coaching. I love fitness. That's something I see myself doing for a long duration of time. But I do want to scale big body. We'll talk about that first. I do want to scale big body to, like I said, 100 grand a month. That would be pretty insane to me. Um, and then after that, I kind of just want to, find different streams of revenue, right? Different places where I could help people. Of course, with big body still in the picture. So that might be, helping other coaches scale their companies, um, that paid community, maybe opening up gyms in Dallas or around the world, where I could help it like literal communities, you know, hands-on work where I'm helping them, training them, or building these cool places. That's really my goal. Right? Because here's my thing, right? I do want to become very wealthy, but I also do want to be smart with my money when I do become wealthy and actually like pour into these communities, give back to people.
Yeah,
Because I realized growing up, like I do, obviously I want you, everyone wants good things, but that's not really what I want to do or what I want to spend my money for is all these nice, I don't always want to be the guy that's like, okay, I want this car, let me upgrade to this. I rather like spend that money on experiences or just give back to like communities. So I think something that I really want to strive for is just like building gyms near me or training facilities to start off and then eventually get them into gyms. Um, so that's kind of my thing. But of course, online coaching, I mean, that's always, in my opinion, that's always going to slap, right? Because personal training has always been in play since way back then. So I think online training is obviously people know it's a new wave. So you can't just tap out of it. But maybe I just play a different role in different areas to try to like help out there, and build there, if that makes sense.
exactly. Yeah, that's sick, bro. I know we talk about it all the time and we're always like brainstorming. We have crazy ideas and we're young, so we can do so many different things. But I think that was super valuable. Like all you online coaches watching this right now, whether you're already settled, you're at scale, or you're making a lot of money, or it seems like you're making a lot of money, like there's a lot of things that you can learn from this to incorporate into your business. Or if you're someone that's just watching this because you want to start your online coaching business, like feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Big J at Big Body Coaching or Big J Fit. Reach out to us and just let us know. I'm going to plug our Big J's handle on Instagram below so you guys can reach out to Big J as well. But let us know if you have any further questions, because I know we're here to help people. And I think I'm excited. I know Big J is probably going to be on another podcast later down the line. I want to get a bunch of other people on here. So this is the first guest of an actual fitness coach that's on here, just sharing his journey and experience. So that was a fun time. So thank you guys for watching this.
Peace
Thank you.
out.
Yes, sir.